YouTube. Today we're going to hand sew a pleather tote bag. So someone special asked if I can make her a bag that looks something like Celine's Cabas tote bag. The small vertical Cabas bag has a very interesting build. It is in the shape of a paper shopping bag with the seams of the bag all on the four sides. Also, the bag's bottom is folded like a paper bag. You will need 8 pieces for this bag with matching threads. The pattern looks like this. And if you're new here, please do consider subscribing. I upload sporadically so we don't lose each other. The pleather I'm using is about 2 millimeters thick, but with a soft, pliable touch. You will need about half a meter for each color. You also need some leather tools for this bag. To make hand stitching a bit easier, we will assemble the pieces section by section. So here I have one side piece and one front piece. We will glue the front piece on top of the side piece. So what's important here is to apply the contact glue on the back side of the front piece and on the right side of the side piece. So when you glue it together, there will be an overlap of 1 centimeter. So let the glue cure for a bit before sticking them together. Now I'm going to use the stitching groover to make a stitch line. So I'm just making a faint line so that I can follow it with my pricking iron. I put the pricking iron into the last hole to keep the stitch holes even. If you don't have a stitching groover, just use masking tape to create a guideline because it's very easy to stray. Next, we will start hand stitching. We need about 5 times the length of what we are stitching. The thread that I'm using is the 8 millimeter wax thread. I'm using a blunt cross-stitch needle to do the stitching, so avoid the sharp pointy ones as it will end up with a lot of blood and unwanted holes in your bag. I'm using the back stitch to do this part. To keep the tutorial short, I'm going to speed through this. We will finish the ends of the thread by doing a couple of back stitches. I'm hiding the ends of the thread in the stitches before snipping them off. Now we can repeat the process with all the remaining pieces to get 2 sets for the top and 2 sets for the bottom. Next, we will join them again. Remember that the front piece is always glued on top of the side piece and that the overlap is 1 centimeter wide. I've got the top and bottom combos done. The seams should match. Now we are going to form these 2 pieces into tubes. We will do that by putting the mat inside the tube before knocking in the holes. You can use an awl to open up the holes if they feel stuck. We are going to create the bottom of the bag. First, we match the 2 seams and clip them in place. Then stick masking tape about 11.5 centimeters from the top to use as a guide. Next, we fold the sides inwards, making sure the seams match horizontally. I mark where I have to apply glue here. After the glue has dried, we can glue this flap down to create one side of the bag's bottom. I've created the 2 flaps. Now we apply glue on the flap and glue it down to create the bottom. So once the glue has dried, we will place a small notebook inside as a mat and punch holes around the flap. So this is what it looks like after I backstitched them. I think this part here is a bit too long, so I'm going to slice it off. Now repeat the same process of gluing and stitching for the other side of the flap. Now that we've got the bottom section done, it's time to assemble the bag together. We will glue before stitching, and then we will do this section by section. I find that if you put the top section on the box, it makes it easier to glue. So after I did this panel, I turned it back around and I glued the other front panel. We call these things panels? I don't know. After that is done, we'll drop some glue on the sides and then just press them together. So I let the glue dry overnight, and now we're going to hand sew around the bag for extra reinforcement. So you always check that the mat is in between. So I use back stitches again. So we're going to glue the straps this way. So we're going to glue down 1/2 centimeter and kind of flatten it with a rubber hammer. And then you flip the other side over and glue that one down too, so that your strap is about 2 centimeters wide. So I started punching a row of holes about 8 centimeters away from the ends. And we will use 2 needles to sew the saddle stitch because this stitch looks nice both on the back and the front. So you can search YouTube on how to do this stitch because this video is getting really long now. So after I completed one row, I just turned the piece around and did another row right on top of the first row. I think that the stitchings look fuller that way. So if you have problem pulling the needles out, you can use the table as leverage. To attach the handles, we will first glue it onto the inside of the bag. Make sure they are evenly spaced from the center, and then punch holes, stitch, and repeat. We will attach the pocket onto the ends of the handles. I'm going to glue the pocket together first and then slice off the excess. I'm marking where the holes will be on the pocket piece. I've already sewn the sides and bottom together. The pocket size is wide enough to fit a cell phone. These are the pieces for the strap buckles. You call them buckles? For the strap rings. So I'm using a new can of glue because the last one kind of expired on me. I'm going to glue the buckle right in the center of the side piece, okay? And then I kind of lower it so that you can fold the D-ring down and you can see it from the outside. Okay, I'm using masking tape as a guide. We're going to punch holes right in the middle of the strappy thing. I used the saddle stitch and sew over them twice. Okay, this is the leather strap that I'm using. It's about 120 centimeters long, and I'm going to make the ends look pretty. So this set of holes is the same size as the screw shaft. And this set, the big hose is about the same size as the stud's head. We need to expand it so that it can fit through the strap. So the little holes that I'm punching will help expand the hole. And all these little holes are facing downwards when you carry the bag so that it doesn't rip the hole. Looks like a keyhole. And then you can shorten it. Yeah, you need something to hold this part down. Like this.
two screws inside, and then we screw on the, what do you call this, the head, so that when you need a much shorter strap, you can do this. And got this, see?